All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about how technology is doing way more than just changing how we order food or watch movies. We're talking about how it could completely overhaul the very idea of justice, specifically in Nigeria. This is a huge shift, moving from dusty paper files to clean, transparent digital systems.
Wow, okay. This quote from our source material really doesn't mince words, does it? It cuts right to the chase, laying out a problem that's been around for a long, long time. And look, this isn't just about things moving slowly. It's about a system where confusion and delays can mean real people don't get the justice they deserve.
So, this is really the heart of the matter right here. On one hand, you have the old way of doing things. It's opaque, meaning you can't really see what's going on. It's complex, and let's be honest, that complexity can be a perfect hiding place for corruption. But on the other side, you've got the new way. Digital systems bring transparency, you can track everything, and that leads to real accountability. It's a total game changer.
Okay, so let's dig into that a little deeper. How exactly do these old school manual systems actually fail? What makes them so vulnerable?
Now, here's the kicker. The problem isn't just that these paper-based systems are slow or inefficient. It's that their very clumsiness creates loopholes, actual gaps that criminals can, and absolutely do, use to wiggle out of trouble. In a way, the system itself accidentally becomes part of the problem.
But what if we could just close those loopholes for good? Well, that brings us right to the solution proposed in our source material, the whole idea of digital justice.
I just love this quote because it paints such a clear before and after picture, you know? It throws out all the dramatic Hollywood-style action for something that's honestly way more powerful, the simple, undeniable logic of a digital system. It's not about being louder, it's about being smarter.
Right, so that sounds amazing in theory, but how does it actually play out in the real world? Let's get into some specific examples of these digital tools in action.
I'm sure a lot of you have heard of 419 scams. It's a type of fraud that became infamous around the world. For years, these scams worked because tracking money was slow and difficult. Well, digital justice completely flips the script. When you can track money in real time and freeze an account in seconds, the whole business model for these scams just falls apart. And look how straightforward the process becomes. First, the scammer gets the dirty money. Boom. Step 2, automated systems flag it immediately. Step 3, the account gets frozen instantly. The money is stuck. And finally, step 4, justice can be enforced because there's a perfect digital trail. It's clean, it's fast, and it's powerful. And the impact goes way beyond just financial fraud, all the way to national security. The source makes a really strong point here. So many criminal organizations, from bandits to terrorists, depend on physical cash, especially for things like ransom. When you move towards a cashless society, you're literally cutting off their funding. You're starving them of the untraceable money they need to survive. And let's talk about that everyday kind of corruption. You know, the kind that happens in those small face-to-face moments, like when someone asks for a little extra fee to get your paperwork pushed through. By putting government services online, making them contactless, you remove that moment of friction. You take away the opportunity for someone to stick their hand out. It's a simple change that massively boosts transparency. This is another fantastic application. Think about social welfare. When you distribute those benefits digitally, you're creating a direct pipeline from the government to the person who actually needs the help. No middlemen. This makes sure the money gets to the right person, makes it nearly impossible for anyone to skim off the top, and of course creates a crystal clear digital record of every single transaction. So, you might be wondering, is any of this just wishful thinking? Or is it actually happening? Is there any proof that this digital shift is making a real difference? Well, the answer is a big, fat yes. Let's take a look at the progress so far. Yeah, this didn't just happen overnight. The foundation for this has been built piece by piece for over a decade. You can see some of the huge milestones here: the interbank settlement system way back in 2008, the cashless policy in 2012, and the digital identity framework in 2020. You can see how each step builds on the one before it. So, what about results? Do we have hard numbers? We sure do. A World Bank study found that putting electronic procurement systems in place in Nigeria led to a measurable 20% drop in corruption. 20%. That's not just a rounding error, that is a huge impact. So how'd they do it? Well, e-procurement basically moves the whole process of government contracts online. This creates a transparent digital paper trail for every single bid and every payment. It really cuts down on those shady backroom deals that happen when things are done behind closed doors. It's a perfect example of how smart digital design gets real results.
Okay, so we've got proof that this works. The question now is, what's next? How does Nigeria keep this incredible momentum going? Our source material gives us a pretty clear roadmap. The recommendations are big, but they make a ton of sense. First, go all in. Get digital systems running for all government services. Next, keep pushing for cashless payments. But, and this is a really important one, you have to protect all this new digital infrastructure with rock-solid cybersecurity to keep people's trust. And finally, you can't leave anyone behind. That means providing digital literacy training for everyone so all citizens can be a part of this new chapter.
I gotta say, this final line from the source, even though it's a bit playful, it really captures the whole spirit of this thing. It's an optimistic shout-out. The goal isn't just to build a system that's more efficient, it's to make justice feel simple, accessible, and just normal for everybody. And that leads us to this one last big question. We've seen the incredible power of these digital tools. They can fight corruption, stop crime, and make systems fair. But at the end of the day, technology is just a tool. The real question is, as these tools get more and more powerful, how do we make absolutely sure that the people in charge are using them justly for the good of everyone? Now that is something to really think about.